And now for our spotlight story of the week. In the late summer of 1996, 3 U.S. Border Patrol agents were conducting a routine sweep of the forests just south of the Canadian border near the town of Curlew, Washington. This area is known as a high-traffic area for both smugglers of liquor, smokes and vintage 70s porn, and individuals entering the U.S. illegally in hopes of sponging off the U.S. welfare system. It was a routine patrol just like many before, tracking what was believed to be a group of smugglers along a familiar route through the wilderness. However, that night the air felt off, thick and heavy. The trees seemed too close and the wind, well, it carried a weight and a disturbingly unpleasant odor. The silence was so deep it was ringing in their ears. As the 3 agents were moving along slowly, boots crunching on damp earth with rifles slung over their backs, they happened upon a grisly scene. The bodies of a group of what appeared to be 4 smugglers were strewn all about in various states of dismemberment. Agent Rourke, who was walking point, was the first to encounter the bodies. He froze in bewilderment and terror. Never in his career had he ever witnessed such carnage. Then, out of the corner of his eye in the fading light, he noticed some movement just ahead. He stopped and whispered, just loud enough for the rest to hear, "Something's moving up ahead." It wasn't the sound of typical footsteps, but something much heavier. He could feel it before he saw it. In that moment, he was overcome with the kind of dread that crawls up your spine before your brain knows why. Then from the dark underbrush, it came. He had seen bears before. He knew what predators looked like. But this was something much different, something he had never seen before. It was all wrong, covered in black matted hair, limbs too long, eyes burning amber like coals smoldering behind them. And its breath, rotting, like the smell of dirty ass on a sweltering June summer's evening after a hard day of drinking. It studied the 3 agents, stood there for just a moment, like it wanted the agents to understand something. And then, without warning, it charged the 3 men. Miller shoved Vasquez aside, yelling for them to move. Rourke began spraying lead, uncontrolled bursts of 5.56 at very close range. But it had little to no effect on Creature. The damn thing kept coming. Then it swiped, with one massive clawed hand, and caught Miller's vest, lifting him up and throwing him like a cheap rag doll against a large cedar. Bones snapped, blood smeared bark, as he cried out like a little baby. But Rourke kept shooting. The repeated sounds of automatic weapons fire and a grown man crying like an infant shattered the silence, but the creature seemed undeterred. Then, suddenly, it let out a deep, monstrous roar, way too unnatural, like it wasn't from any throat that belonged to the living. Vasquez moved and grabbed Miller, dragging him toward the perceived safety within a large rock formation. And Miller swore, just for a second, that he saw the creature grin. Mouth filled with large, horrifying red-stained white teeth. Then it stilled, breathing slow, nostrils flaring. Its eyes intensely focused on Miller. And then something changed. Unexplainable, but the 3 men suddenly felt it. Not fear, but something worse, like the creature was inside their heads, pushing thoughts that weren't their own. Somehow they felt as if it knew them. Then, without warning, the creature just vanished, melting back into the dark forest. The 3 lingered in awe, breathing hard, listening for anything. But the only sound left was Miller gasping, blood pooling under him, and the wind whispering warnings of death. With Vasquez and Rourke carrying the wounded Miller, the 3 men got out of there fast, never looking back. And when they hit the road, Vasquez turned to Rourke, face pale as death, and said, "Tell me, Rourke, how do we file this report?" Rourke wiped the blood from his cheek, stared back into the trees, and said, "We don't." And that's how it went that terrifying summer's evening in Washington State back in 1996. Well, dear listeners, I hope you enjoyed this terrifying tale. Please subscribe and stay tuned for more great stories just like this one.